Well, it's always very challenging to speak after the President of the General Assembly because he's such an eloquent speaker, but I'll try my best. The permanent representatives of Kenya, Portugal, and my home country, Sri Lanka, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, fellow young friends. Let me start out by commending the Friendship Ambassadors Foundation and the permanent missions of Kenya, Portugal, and Sri Lanka to the United Nations for organizing this 20th session of the Youth Assembly at the UN. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to address you all here today. My name is Jayathma Wickramanayake, and I'm the UN Secretary General's Envoy on Youth. As the Envoy on Youth, as said, my role is to bring the voices of young people to the United Nations and to bring the United Nations closer to you. It's therefore a great pleasure for me to see so many young people attending this assembly in order to learn more about the work of the UN and particularly the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. You are very welcome. The Sustainable Development Goals provide us a framework with which to ensure safe and prosperous lives for all people, to end poverty, reduce inequalities, and tackle climate change. It's a truly ambitious and inclusive agenda, and we need everyone on board to reach the goals before 2030. As the PG has said, today's young generation is the first generation that can end poverty and the last generation to end climate change and slow global warming before it's too late. Indeed, given the sheer numbers engaging the world's 1.8 billion young people in the implementation of the SDGs will be critical to ensuring the 2030 Agenda's success. Demographic and development realities make young people the generation of our time, the SDG generation. We are a generation with unyielding energy, new ideas, and refreshing optimism. And more young people are raising their voices to tangibly make a difference both in their local communities and at the global level. The role of young people and their organizations must therefore be recognized as leading one. Youth take action across all areas crucial for the implementation of the agenda, including politics, business, academia, and civil society. And young people understand the importance of dialogue, partnerships, and collaboration in achieving inclusive sustainable development. This year's Youth Assembly focuses on the 2030 Agenda's overarching principle of leaving no one behind, which places the needs of those who have previously been overlooked at the center of sustainable development. All groups in society must be heard, including youth, and we must ensure that participation happens in an inclusive, meaningful, and equal way. Even the most marginalized and vulnerable groups should have the opportunity to engage. As young people, there are many institutional, structural, and even financial barriers that we are forced to overcome in our fight to be heard, included, and recognized. However, it's important to always bear in mind that especially the most marginalized and vulnerable groups should have the opportunity to engage to guarantee that the transformative promise of the global goals are fulfilled. And yes, in this process, we will face 1,000 hurdles. There will be many letdowns, many setbacks. But if I have learned anything from my experience as a youth activist, is that this is possible, provided we are truly motivated and passionate. Let us be proactive, be vocal, and engage constructively in dialogue. Be open to new possibilities and to stronger and more meaningful partnerships with like-minded young people and other groups who share the common goal of sustainable development. And let us all keep in mind that no matter what age, gender, religion, nationality, or background you are from, we are all in this together. I assure you that I am fully committed to engage with all stakeholders, from governments to private sector, from research community to civil society actors, including youth networks and organizations, in pursuit of a world where young people everywhere can reach their fullest potential and no young person is left behind. As I always say, there is no better investment than in the capacities and potentials of young people, and there's no better fight than the fight for the world we want. Thank you.